I hope you understand the recent things that are happening to Israel. If it ever falls, you understand what that means? That means that if it's going to fall, like imagine a big monster. As soon as it falls, it's going to break, destroy everything that's with it. So the fall of Israel is actually a big deal. So in this video, we'll see that this guy is saying that Israel lost this war from October 7th onwards. Let's see his reasoning, because if he's actually right, that means that even the very same thing that you're using to watch this video, which is the internet, even that is going to fall. And if that's going to fall, we're going back to the end times. Not the end times, we're going back to the beginning times, where you don't have internet. Where if you want, like for example, you want to order food, you can't just go on your phone and order food. You're going to literally have to go and milk the cow. Interesting times, man.
1 year into this war, I'm going to show you how Israel has lost on all fronts before it even began.
I was shocked by what happened on October 7th. But once October 7th happened, and as we've watched these two conflicts play themselves out, it's quite clear that the world has changed in ways that are not good for either Israel or the United States.
Militarily, economically, in the public sphere, and even within its own civil society, the apartheid ethno-settler colonial state is going to fail. A year since the genocide started, Israel's embarrassing failures have amounted to what may be the signal of its own eventual collapse as a power in the region. Let me show you how.
Oh, you know what's very interesting? I'm actually recording this on October 7th, but October 7th, 2024. He's talking about October 7th, 2023, back when whatever, like the attack happened, which is so interesting, actually.
Military.
1 year.
Since the IDF announced its war or genocide on October the 8th, it
war,
has
man,
been a
it's genocide.
nightmare for millions of people living in already nightmarish, unlivable open-air prison. But here's the thing, the depravity didn't just start with the killing of Palestinians. No, the IDF started the killing with its own citizens. According to Haaretz, the IDF ordered Hannibal's directive on October 7 in order to prevent Hamas from taking captives. What does that mean? It means that the IDF air attacks killed their own citizens, a practice not strange to the Israeli military, as they enacted the same doctrine in Lebanon back in 1986. What about Israel's military strategy on the ground in Gaza? How's that been going? I'll give you a rundown. More than 40,000 Palestinians have been killed, 15,000 of which are children, and 10,000 more presumed dead, buried under the rubble. More than 500 medical workers have been killed. Thousands of Palestinians have been abducted from their homes, including at least 214 doctors and medical workers, many of them subject to severe abuse and torture in Israeli prison camps. 31 out of the 36 hospitals have been damaged or destroyed. Nearly 2 million Palestinians have been displaced and ethnically cleansed from their homes. These numbers are only scratching the surface, as the true statistical calculation is yet to be determined and may take years to account. From a purely military perspective, they've achieved nothing but total civilian decimation. So many people senselessly killed, and Israel still has no receipt to show for fulfilling their two objectives.
This is actually insane though, man. Which should show you, like, imagine 150 years from now, right? All of this is going to be almost like rewritten to the point that you look back in history and be like, how could such a thing ever happen? How could such a thing ever happen? And you're watching it right now. You're literally watching it happen right now. That's why it's like, if you're not on the right side of history, imagine if you were back in the day, right? When whatever thing was happening during Germany's time, which I don't even think it happened, by the way. But imagine back then. Now we're looking at it and we're just like, how could such a thing ever happen? But you're looking at now and this worst thing is happening right now. Worse is happening right now.
Rescuing the hostages and eradicating Hamas. No numbers, no timeline, no update. Economic. Waging wars, or in Israel's case...
By the way, the fact that this stuff is coming out, the very first thing that's going to happen is that it's going to destroy the reputation of the country itself, Israel. And I told you in my previous video, I'm like, it's going to start with the reputation. Once the reputation is destroyed, all of it is destroyed. And that's what exactly is happening right now.
An ongoing genocide is very expensive. And after 12 months of war, Israel is facing its biggest economic crisis in years. Why? Israel has burned through cash, capital, and resources faster than a degenerate gambler could buying GameStop stocks. The Bank of Israel has estimated that the war-related costs for 2023 to 2025 could amount to $55.6 billion, with some analysts revising the cost to $67 billion due to the recent border conflict with Lebanon. This places pressure on Israel's stock market and currency, as both have taken a nosedive. As a matter of fact, economic growth shrank by 4.5% in one year.
Them.
As a result, reputable credit rating agencies downgraded their credit score, with further downgrades possible in the future. At this rate, all things staying the same, the holes in Israel's buckets may deplete them dry. Public opinion.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny? Well, not funny, this is actually serious. Is that I told you, I'm like, they're going to be falling on the hands of the Palestinian people themselves. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that almost like the same exact thing that's happening? It's almost like the Palestinian people themselves are the ones that are destroying Israel without doing anything. Just without doing anything. You should watch that video that I made where I was like literally prophecies from the Quran on what's going to happen to Israel. From the Quran, saying that Israel is literally going to fall. And how is it going to fall? At the hands of the Palestinian people themselves. How is it going to fall? Through destroying their reputation first. And then on top of that, the very same things that they were using to fund the war, the Palestinian people will have access to these things and just play with it like toys. Like, for example, the planes that they were using. Just an example, like the planes that Israeli people were using is going to fall in the hands of Palestinian people, and they'll treat it like it's just toys. It's just nothing but toys, which is very interesting, seeing everything, how it's unfolding.
Billions of dollars down the drain on bullets and artillery, but that's not the only thing worthy of taking from their seemingly endless coffers. Of course, who could forget the expensive PR campaigns and media propaganda machine that Israel continues to peddle, aka Hasbara. AIPAC, a pro-Israeli lobbying group in the US, is crucial to their mission as it continues to sway public opinion in their favor. Recently, however, things have changed drastically. Public opinion has swung like a pendulum from dominantly favoring Israel to genuinely unfavorable. With constant tampering in US elections,
again, it's just the destruction of their reputation. That's the seed. That's the root. I mean, you destroy the root, all of it is going to fall.
Desperate lobbying for legislation to criminalize pro-Palestinian advocacy. With constant tampering in US elections, desperate lobbying for legislation to criminalize pro-Palestinian advocacy, punish non-for-profit organizations for supporting Palestinian causes and universities for allowing pro-Palestinian protests, AIPAC has become increasingly perceived as a national concern. The rise of social media platforms like TikTok have allowed younger generations to have access to content showing the atrocities in Palestine.
Hold on. You see why they're trying to ban it? That app is crazy, man, because it's coming from China, right? And so like the censorship, if it goes against a certain people, they're not going to care about it, which is so interesting, because if you could post the same stuff, maybe here, maybe on IG, and it'll get banned immediately. But on TikTok, it's like literally, it's the definition of free speech, which is so, it's so funny.
You look at the postings on TikTok and the number of mentions of Palestinians relative to other social media sites, it's overwhelmingly so among TikTok broadcasts.
Broadcasted debates have become popcorn entertainment for Palestinian advocates watching Israeli pundits being totally destroyed by basic arguments.
One is a democracy and an ally of the West. And one is not.
Oh, ally of the West. What little slip in there? What's that got to do with anything? So allies of the West get to be genocidal?
No.
Why did you say ally of the West?
I don't believe what they're doing in
So if Russia was an ally of the West, they could kill people in Ukraine?
I don't believe what they're doing in Gaza is genocide.
According to a Gallup poll conducted in March, US nationwide favorable ratings towards Israel has fallen from 68% to 58%. That's the lowest it's ever been in 2 decades. It's an even bigger drop for younger adults, from 64% to 38%. This data for Progress poll shows that 56% of Democrats believe Israel is committing a genocide. If you're still not convinced about this pendulum swing, then take a look at this poll. 56% of Americans oppose sending troops to defend Israel if Iran attacks. No wonder US and Israeli elites are shaking in their boots. Civil unity. Before October 7, civil strife and unrest were so frequent in Israel that there were opinion articles guessing whether there was going to be a civil war or not. Since then, mass protests have rocked the nation and put pressure on Netanyahu along with his cabinet to secure a ceasefire deal in Gaza in order to see the remaining captives come home. What's even more ironic is that the leaders of the protests against the Israeli government are family members of the hostages themselves, whether it's from the grief and frustration from Netanyahu and his lackeys deliberately stalling deals, prolonging a war which they know they can't win, or just plain economic volatility, plaguing local businesses and shrinking government spending. One can ask, if genocide was to stop tomorrow and the hostages return, would Israeli society ever be the same? It's always darkest before the dawn. 1 year of death, destruction and genocide is tough for any group of people, even for the tough Palestinians. When we see their beautiful patience and resilience in the face of calamity, we often forget that they are still human beings with limits. The occupying colonial state of Israel is fracturing, and its major ally, the US, has become its crutch. As it continues down this road, Israel is evidently exposed as a pariah state in the eyes of the international community. Here's Professor John Mearsheimer to sum up all the reasons as to why Israel is in serious trouble. Honestly, I can't say it better myself.
First of all, it's stuck in Gaza. It has not defeated Hamas. It has not gotten the hostages back.
Bro, I know what's the literal miracle is the fact that when you actually look at the map, right? Like, Gaza is so small. It's so small. And yet, a whole year didn't even take these dumb people to go and invade it. Like that in of itself is a miracle. And now what's so funny is that you see videos, even on YouTube, there was a kid who was making a video, it's like day in the life of a person in war or something like that. And you would see this like, yeah, it looks like destruction, but somehow these people are still thriving, which is actually insane. This in of itself is a miracle, by the way, which should show you it's like, starts with the reputation. Now that the reputation is getting destroyed, everything else will just follow.
And despite its great success in decapitating Hezbollah, it has not defeated Hezbollah by any means. And it's now talking about invading Lebanon, which will not turn out well. And with regard to the axis of resistance, it's in a long-term war that shows no signs of going away. Then when you get inside Israel and look at what's happening, the economy is in terrible shape. Moody's has downgraded its standing for the second time. All sorts of people inside Israel are talking about all the businesses that have closed, the lack of tourism and what that means, and so forth and so on. So economically, it's in real trouble. All sorts of people have left the country. All sorts of people are talking about leaving the country. Before October 7th, when there was this huge kerfuffle over the question of changing the Constitution, that there was talk in the Israeli media all the time about a possible civil war. This is before October 7th.
Understand, Habibi. Because I think many of you guys don't know the significance of Israel falling. And then most of you guys are going to be like all happy and stuff that, yeah, Israel fell. And that's a good thing. But do you know what that means? I've been talking about this. And I'm hoping now like you know what it means. What that means is that everything that you're using right now, the issue is that you don't know that everything that you're using is actually coming from them. That's the issue. This whole boycotting thing, I'm hoping that it made a lot of people realize that. Dang, I just shook the screen. I hope it makes people realize that everything you're using is actually coming from Israel. But it's almost like a divine thing that happened where Allah is making people boycott everything that's coming from Israel. We're boycotting the clothing shops. We're boycotting the food companies. We're boycotting everything. Like even, for example, the toothpaste that we're using, that's coming from a company that you're supposed to boycott. But this, obviously, we're not boycotting everything. Not everything. But this should show you that everything that you're using is coming from them. So much so to the point that even the internet, the Wi-Fi that you're using is coming from them. So if they fall, again, it's like a big monster. If a big monster is going to fall, it's not just going to fall gracefully, it's going to fall and destroy everything that comes with it. So understand also like the internet that you're using, do you know even like what the internet is? All the internet is just that in the ocean, there is wires, and those wires are connected. And these wires are the internet all over the world, which should show you it's like something so fragile, so fragile. You know what? This actually puts fear in me, the people like me, the ones that base all their income from internet-based businesses. You see why now I made this whole video where I was like, we're about talking about Prophet Dawood. I was like, Prophet Dawood was both a king, so high up, but he was also like a blacksmith all the way down. So he was able to like rotate between these, being all the way high up and all the way down here, because this is the only way that you're going to ensure that you're going to be safe forever. That's what Prophet Dawood was doing. So basically, for example, people like me, the ones that have businesses that are based online, that's good. This is basically the top, because all you're doing is just doing things online, sitting down on the computer, and that's it. But now you also need something hands-on like this, all the way at the bottom. So like having an income of you doing things hands-on is very important, because now when the internet is going to fall, where is your income coming from? When the internet is going to fall, what are you even going to do? And if you don't know what you're going to do, you're basically destroyed. And I say that I should be the one that most scared of that. So the fact that I'm saying that shows how true this is. Do you understand what I mean? So Israel falling is a big deal, but you have to prepare yourself. Prepare yourself. Like if you don't have land yet, that's not a good thing. If you don't have farms, that's not a good thing. And if you're going to be thinking, oh, but what's the point? We're all just going to die anyway. If they die, okay, whatever. I'll die too. I'll live and then I'll die. Yeah, okay, but it's not like how the fact that you're going to die is the fact that how do you live? How are you going to live? Do you understand what I mean? And this is very powerful, man. Prepare yourself. That's all I could say. Just prepare yourself. I'm hoping this was helpful. If it was, man, just let me know.